the frame, make a frame. So you can either click on this or just press F for frame. Go to the design, click on which prototype. I'm going to choose the Apple Watch 45mm. So I have a base for that. And now I want to make a auto layout button and have it sized to here. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. What I'm going to do is a little bit different than the demo in class. But I am going to start off first with the text. I'm going to type in the word button and size that how I want. Maybe we'll do 16 pixels. And as a text box, select it, turn it into a frame with auto layout. So you can do control click and do add auto layout, but it's essentially Shift A. So I'm going to do that. Just hold down the Shift button, then press the letter A. Now it turned into a special auto layout frame. You can tell because the icon over here changed, and it has auto layout being applied. I'm going to press Command R to change the name of this, and the name structure is going to be the different states that I want. So just to clarify, I do want a type, like whether it will be primary, secondary button, icon, base button, etc. And then I want to know what the state is. So is it default state, like nobody's touching it? That's what it would look like. Hover state, on pressed, on tap, etc. So these are the two states that I'm mostly interested in. So when I name this, I'm going to press Command R to name that. I'm going to say it's a button initially, then put a slash. Then what kind of type? Well, it's going to be a primary button. And then what is the state? Well, the state will be default. Okay, so that's all named correctly. And what I'm trying to do is once this becomes a component, these will turn into the properties that will be options here. So now that this is a auto layout frame, I'm going to go ahead and add a color. So click on the plus icon, so it's white background. I'm going to choose a different color here. I'll say like that. And I'm going to click it, hold down the Option key to copy, and drag, let go. I'm going to change the color of this to what I want for hovering. And let's go the opposite. So I'm going to go with a white background, and then the text on the inside, I'm going to have that be the blue. And just in case I'm having a white background on the watch here, I'm going to go ahead and add a stroke as well with a blue color, making it inside and having a little bit of stroke like so, maybe 2. That looks good. So on this one, I don't want it to be the same thing, because this is the default one. So this is the hover one. So the naming of this is going to be very similar, except it'll be hover. So I'm going to press Command R, change the word default to hover here on the layer, hit return. And these are the two buttons that I want. So now what I can do is select this. So I want to make sure you select both. So both the type on the inside and then the auto layout frame, and turn this into a component. So you can go ahead and do right click and do create component, or you can click on this up here, it's the same thing, or you can do Option Command K. So click on this over here, do the same thing for this. So now we have two components. You can look at the assets now. Both those components are here. They're listed as button primary with two different kinds. Now, if I select both of these, you'll notice that there's a new option over here that says combine as variant, and I do want to do that. So I'm going to click on this. Now the whole thing is a master component with two variants. The variant here is, I have the options that we put from the layers. Remember, we called it primary, and then we also said status, which was either default or hover. So we have those two here. That they pulled that from the way we named the layers. And I'm going to just change the properties to these two here. So I'm just going to say that this is going to be the type and that this is the state. Now, anytime I select anything inside this component, and I select the small ones here, I can actually choose which kind that I want. So here are the different sets of state and things that we listed. So I'm going to show you why that's great. I'm going to go to assets. There's nothing on my artboard now. So I'm going to click and drag this component, over here and let go. And I can actually switch this from from the default state to the hover, and it'll show me the hover version if I wanted to show that first. So this is a great thing where you could have multiple different kinds of buttons all within this component, and you can switch between the different kinds of buttons that you want. So right now I have it on the default and there is no interactivity. So if I click on the present, you can't click on anything, right? There's nothing clickable. So we need to add interaction between these two. So I'm going to go to the prototype tab up here, click on that. Now when I hover over this object, these blue little dots show up, right? So I'm going to pull and drag it to this one down here. And then it'll say, what is this interaction that you're making? What do you want it to be? Well, I want to do, while hovering, change to this one, right? And it says the same. It's exactly what we want, primary and hover. It's already set, so I don't have to do anything. Instant is fine. So let's go ahead and test it. Just going to go back, and now you can see that it hovers. I can also, instead of instant, change this to something like dissolve, so it comes in at a slower speed. We can check that out, so you can see that kind of delay. I think it's a little slow, so I might change it to be 150 milliseconds. Hit enter, go back, much better. And there we have our primary button.